Okay, and I have begun the recording locally here on my end. Welcome, Betty. Thank you again for this presentation for us today. Just from a tech note, I'll be sharing this from my screen here, so please let me know if any of you have any issues seeing that. And again, this video here is about 7 minutes long, so it's a bit of a shorter one, so we'll have ample time here for questions and answers. Though we'll note we are going to be doing this session a bit shorter than some of the other hour-long sessions, as we have another session that will be starting, I believe, 45 minutes past the hour. So with that in mind, we will go ahead and get started here. I could not do justice to the many, many great projects that Betty has done and many great engagements she's done, so I'm not going to try to encapsulate all of those here. But I will ask that if she feels comfortable that please chat in any notable ones you want to share with the group here, just to show your very impressive pedigrees. But I don't want to get any of them wrong. So in just a moment here, I'm going to start sharing the video. We did have an issue before with sharing the video sound. So just as a double check, if I start playing this and nobody can hear me, please use that smiley face button, give me a reaction of either the hand raised or that kind of laughing crying emoji. Let me know that's something that is wrong and we need to restart that. But it should work in our tech check. It was just an issue we noticed earlier. Oh, and thank you, Betty. It's in the presentation, so already covered.
Hello everyone, so sorry about this, but I've been dealing with a bout of laryngitis, so I had to adapt the presentation. Say hi to Virtual Voice, Julie. Welcome to Integration of Culture and History in Narrative Design. My name is Betty Robertson. I've been a writer and narrative designer on games of all different genres and platforms. I wrote for London and Gloucester on Assassin's Creed Valhalla, designed the story and characters of Hard Space Shipbreaker, led the stories of William Crone, Karnam Singh, and more on Love Link, and currently I'm working on Aliens VR at Servias. I've taught narrative design through Pixels Montreal, and I've been a contributor to the UBC Narrative for Games program.
If you wish to make an apple pie from scratch, you must first invent the universe. Carl Sagan. This isn't Carl Sagan's voice, but I thought the change of the AI voice would be a powerful addition to the quote.
If you wish to make a character create an apple pie from scratch, you must first invent the universe and engine. Betty Robertson. I use this quote with new game writers and narrative designers to remind them to be conservative in their scripts, because an action as simple as getting undressed costs thousands of hours and dollars to make happen. Alright, here are some facts. Making games. Hard, expensive, extensive. Just making it play is a lot. Making it have a playable story with fully realized voices and animation. Ooh boy, that's a lot. You need writers and animators and designers and actors. But before you even get into the acting or visualization stage, there's a whole world that needs to be built and decided. Who designs this? Well, a cohort of creatives. Game designers, artists, creative directors, but for the sake of this presentation and my own expertise, I'm going to focus on the narrative design. Narrative designers often have to make the connective tissue between art and design, figuring out how the universe works and turning it into story. Let's dig into world building. What that means in game design. I'm gonna get on my soapbox for a minute here. I hate monoculture in fiction. Friggin' hate it. I love Star Trek, but they can meet me in the pit for this topic. I understand it's hard. It's damn near impossible to come up with an entire planet as deep and complex as the Earth and all her cultures on a weekly basis. Narrative designers have years, though, and can take that time to build a level of depth and complexity of real sentient cultures, how they interact with their environments, and how they interact with each other. However, this depth requires ideas which come from knowledge and creativity. This is why we need to reach out to experts in those fields for further knowledge and inspiration. Another area of narrative design that requires reference, expertise, and sensitivity is character design. Video game character types can be quite varied. From just little guy archetypes like Sonic and Mario, to the diverse casts of Valorant, Overwatch, and Rainbow Six. You'd think there would be a difference in complexity between these characters, but Sonic actually has a pretty extensive and crazy character Bible. Honestly, it's up to the development team with how much depth they want to share of their protagonist with the audience. Mario has been around for 30 years, and I'm still not sure which Care Bear is his favorite, or if he prefers vodka sauce to carbonara. Regardless, in a similar vein to Star Trek alien monocultures, I have an axe to grind with any writer regurgitating tired racial and cultural stereotypes. There's nuance to culture. There is, some of the stereotypes are true. As a white person, I do enjoy "Don't Stop Believin'," wearing cardigans, and saying "looks like we made it just in time" when a big line forms behind my party. Ultimately, it comes down to being open as a creative and as a person to talking about these things with people who come from that culture, or sensitivity readers to figure out how to make a diverse cast that makes real people feel seen and represented. You don't have to write from experience, but from empathy. Experts are crucial for this. So, you think your area of expertise is too obscure to get you any job that isn't academic or museum focused? Well, for every ancient Norse expert with a big enough social media presence, game dev from 20152022 was a busy time. This is Dr. Jackson Crawford. He has a YouTube channel, and he was an expert we brought on for AC Valhalla. Great guy, very blunt in his teachings. While Vikings dominated the 2010s, trends in media might have us all learning about the Tuatanga Empire in the next 10 years. Or that's my hope at least. The historical fantasies of Regurgitation have been ancient Greece, Rome, Egypt, Norway, Japan, and medieval Europe for too damn long. I want to learn more about indigenous populations of the world. We don't even cover Persia that much. All right, some takeaways before we wrap it up. Making games is very difficult, especially the cinematic type we've become used to seeing and paying $70 for. Now, I mentioned world designers here, and I did not earlier. I'm not going to get too deep into what a world designer does, because it varies between companies, and isn't oral that exists at a lot of studios, but for all the world designers out there, I see you, I love you. Thank you for keeping the world coherent. Where were we? Right. Narrative designers need the help of experts not to make racism the game, or its siblings. Elf racism the game, why is it always elves? Or space racism the game. So how do game-making experts connect with experts in culture and history? Haha, I feel like I've tricked you all. Yes, networking. We all do it, many of us hate it, but it's likely the reason we are all here today. I've met experts because they were recommended by the profs, and I've met experts because we have the same obscure tastes on Twitter. Everywhere you go is an opportunity to make friends, acquaintances, friendly acquaintances, and to give a good impression of who you are and what you do. Sorry, my talk is a little short, but due to the nature of me currently being trapped in a soundless prison of my own body, I had to pre-write a lot of my examples. Ideally, we can use the rest of this time for discussion and getting to know each other. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you to Dan and Lexi for the invite, and for being so awesome.
Well, Betty, I want to thank you for that video there so much. I just wrote this in chat, but I worked with you a little bit before in the past. I've seen a lot of you writing in different shades, and even if it's text-to-speech, your voice clearly comes through, which can really demonstrate the power of writing and what you're talking about here. Mark had said in the chat, we actually just had a discussion over the lunch hour, which really crossed over about world building and balancing a lot of these different priorities here. So, like with our other presentations, I want to open the floor for questions and comments. Though due to the nature where we are, please try to keep them focused around something that can be in a text response, so not as much latitude here for a back and forth discussion. So please ask any questions that you all have, either in that room chat or in the Q&A section. can hear you loud and clear on my end. Can other folks in the audience hear Betty? If you can, please give us a reaction, such as the thumbs up, or the 100, or the heart.
Okay. So I'll try and answer questions verbally, so we can have a bit more feedback.
Terrific, and please don't push yourself, but thank you for doing so.
This is a different software, Lexi, but it is very similar. I would say that this is actually a much more complex software than we used for Valhalla, because a lot of changes and upgrades have been made to AI voices over the past few years. Actually, a lot of Avor's voice was in this stock kind of silly British man accent. And so he had a lot of trouble early on with the writing, because we'd take it into reviews and the directors would be like, this line sucks, this line sounds like crap. And we'd be like, it's the Robo voice, we swear it's the Robo voice.
And perhaps actually that spawns a question of my own from this. Being in pitch and proposal meetings like that can be very stressful, especially when you know intimately what the product you're working on is, but what you have available as far as a demo deck is limited. And you also in your video mentioned a desire to greatly diversify the types of stories we're telling, where we're basing histories off of. You mentioned a number of kind of alternative areas that we've really not delved into before. I'm curious if you have any suggestions of where we may be able to kind of, I don't know, stimulate somebody's hunger for that. How can we get them to be wanting more, asking questions without trying to over-explain everything that they're not familiar with?
I mean, unfortunately, it boils down to which one gets its own HBO show first. So it has to, spark somebody's interest. And unfortunately, with pop culture being kind of Ouroboros, you had said to me that it is, somebody needs to be brave and take the first step towards presenting indigenous cultures, or, having a big, sexy epic that gets a lot of people's imaginations going. In the case of Assassin's Creed, Valhalla, part of what encouraged that was the show Vikings, and how popular that was, because a lot of big studios rely on marketing, and marketing relies on trends, and so one of these things has to become popular in order for the imitators to start moving out.
Makes sense, and I think, yeah, you pointed to a really good point there of what established media, more mainstream media, has picked up this theme before video games can kind of take it on in that way. Again, personally curious here. I really enjoyed the recent Predator film, which focuses on Native American indigenous folks in that setting. I believe it's around kind of early 1700s. And I have noticed there are a few more indigenous pieces in media. Some of their previous talks here on the conference have talked about Mesoamerican history. Do you feel that we are closer to that, having more of an entry point now?
I think so, yes. I think the works of Taika Waititi are definitely been very good for this sort of thing, in that he often represents a sort of Maori culture, and has been putting funding into other indigenous works, like Reservation Dogs, the show. It's on HBO or Fox. It's very funny, and I would definitely recommend it. As well
Yeah, unfortunately, that's driving everything. I do want to call out a question here we have from Andrew regarding Aliens VR. Did you want to ask that on the mic, Andrew, or do you want me to speak it out loud? You can feel free to approach the mic or reply in chat there. Oh, there you go. I'll make some space for you here. You just step in front of the mic.
Hello. Thank you, Betty, for a great presentation. My ears picked up when you said Aliens VR. I certainly enjoyed Alien Isolation, and I do like video gaming when I can, even though it makes me a little ill with motion sickness. But my question is, for Aliens, is this based on the James Cameron film? And if so, did the development team do archival work or any kind of archaeological work using maquettes, props, film art, interviews, and things like that?
That's a great question, and I'm going to try what I can to not break into it because not a lot has come out about the project. But I can say that it is inspired by James Cameron's movie, being a strict adaptation. We want to be for Aliens by James Cameron, what Isolation is for Alien by Ridley Scott. And so we want to have that harmony between the two projects and have players, feel like they're in that sort of situation and that sort of movie, but not replaying the same beats verbatim because we want to give people new stuff to chew on and new concepts and new characters. I do have one archival note, which is the sound Aliens make was recorded. So that there was something that happened with the sound effects and soundtrack to Aliens by James Cameron that meant that a lot of those original recordings were lost or done outside of the Union. James sent the job over to a friend of his who did it at his own studio, and so those originals are either privatized or lost to history, and so our sound designers are getting ways to replicate those alien organisms in a way that sounds like the movies.
Hey, okay. This one was too long to type, and I'm lazy, so I thought I would just come up and broadcast the question. So yesterday we actually heard from Kara Cooney, who was brought in to do some consulting work for Assassin's Creed Origins. And so we heard a lot about how she kind of had a terrible time because by the time they brought her in the game, the script was locked and all that stuff. And so I'm just curious for you as a narrative designer who's in this process trying to actually write the script, are you able to consult experts as you're starting from square one? Do you have to wait? Because I think her big complaint sesh was about how she felt that they didn't really consult anyone until it's too late, which is why you get a lot of inaccurate things. So from your side, I'm just curious as to, do they let you, or if they let you, do they not let you use a lot of their advice? I'm just curious.
Okay, so in the case of Origins, that was a notoriously troubled production when it came to its narrative and through the different hands that it was passed back and forth with as far as the direction goes. And Ubisoft at that time was still very much of the, well, we checked it with an expert, so we can say we checked it with an expert, rather than actually checking it with an expert at the time. And so I can see why that would be very frustrating for Karen, why that would burn a bridge, because I can guarantee that it was the work of some concerned narrative designer who had probably been pushing against some of the things that Kara was concerned about and wanted them to bring in a sensitivity reader and a cultural expert. But direction was just basically using that as a checkbox. And I'm not going to throw any names under the bus or say that, it might not have been direction, it might have been production. It could have been a lot of people, a lot of different decisions being made. In my experience for Valhalla, because I was on from the beginning, as well as for Odyssey, the experts were actually fits within this history or this culture. And it's very important for me as a writer that is attached as I might be to a story or an archetype. If it's entirely the wrong archetype, then we're throwing that out and we're going with something else. And I love learning from experts because they might just drop some little hint, which becomes a story seed for me. You know, an element of everyday life that really excites me as a writer and makes me think like, oh, this is actually what our story is about.
Well, I definitely can say I think that Valhalla was done very, very well, and that answer actually sparked a second question, which is, I'm curious, how much did you know about something like Samhain before you were able to, talk to experts and stuff? Because I liked how, from what I saw, it was pretty accurate, and so I was like, oh, this is great. But like, how much of this was like you, and how much was helped?
It was all me, actually. So that's my own specialized interest, and it was very important for me as a person who was raised pagan. There's been a lot of portrayals of Samhain throughout media that got it wrong, that don't really get that the sacrifice is meant to be voluntary, and that it's supposed to be New Year and a day for finishing all of these businesses, and New Year is very common across the world cultures of having to finish business in New Year. And so I wanted to do an accurate portrayal of that. And I'm sure I didn't get everything right. Having it in more of a Gloucester, Wales than Ireland, which is where it's actually from. But part of making video games is cheating because it's fun sometimes. We know we got it wrong. We're sorry. It was fun.
It was fun. I enjoyed the knocking sequence that I undoubtedly someone had to actually code in the thing. So you had the knocking action and the cape toggle and the mask. It was very cool. Definitely one of my favorite game arcs.
We had to ask for a lot of those, and we were not a golden path territory, so we weren't supposed to get like a big budget. But basically, every person that we spoke to on that territory got really excited and decided to just like throw in the effort anyway.
Well, I would say I think most people I've talked to who played the game have also really, really, really loved that arc. The only regret I have is that it's so far and so late in the game. So if you're someone who's like not super invested in sort of the repeated same type of thing, I wish we could have gotten to it a bit earlier. It's really fun.
Likewise, but it fits into Eivor's larger arc as a character as a whole, in that, she begins as a young woman who is just learning about herself and learning about others, and she goes through all of these journeys involving families and bloodshed, and as she's kind of nearing the autumn of her life, that's when we reach Gloucester, when she starts to think about what it's going to mean if she becomes a parent, or how she's going to settle down, or what kind of leader she's going to be for her settlement and her people. Because, every territory has Eivor confronting different leaders and how they've lived out their lives. And so she gets to have all of these different versions of who she could be, and then she finally gets to decide who she's going to be.
Nice. All right, I will back away and let someone else come up if they have a question.
I do have a question myself. There may not be a good answer to this one. I'm still trying to seek out anybody who might have any leads on it. But I've been doing some indie game writing on the side, and we're lucky enough to have a cultural consultant that we're working with kind of in the works right now. Very fortunate that we didn't have to sell the team too much on it. Everyone's in agreement. Obviously, in a bigger studio, it's going to be much more challenging. and you mentioned starting early is very important. I was wondering if you had any advice around if there's pushback of saying, do we really need a cultural consultant, or resistance, that sort of thing. Are there any maybe selling points or best practices you might advise on the internal side, or is somebody who might be acting as a consultant, maybe some of the history folks here, any just best practices for navigating the games industry and the unique place that it is?
That's a great question, Dan. I've been lucky enough to be in studios that have always been very open to having a cultural consultant. I think it's important to engage people's sense of, empathy, and just be like, if we're going to be writing this character with this appearance and this backstory, this background, it's best that we pass it by somebody who's grown up that way. Because it's a very logical thing to say as well. Like, you can flip it on its axis. And for example, I live in Quebec, and a lot of the game devs that I'll be dealing with are Quebecois. And they're very proud and very passionate about their culture. And so I would begin that if it was to be a conflict, I'd be like, well, if we had a Quebecois character, I wouldn't want to base them entirely on stereotypes. I'd want to pass that by a Quebecois person like yourself to make sure that this character is accurate, because how terrible it is, and when other Canadian productions always make the Quebecois character this funny French clown, and that might get their attention. Another thing is kind of from the other side. If you are an expert and want to become a sensitivity reader or cultural expert, the best thing you can do is put yourself out there, put your stuff out there, make it easily accessible, make your name well known. This might sound very difficult, but like just having a YouTube channel where you make videos about the thing that you're the thing you're an expert in. If I search YouTube for it, I'll use the Tuitonga Empire again as a reference. I search for the Tuitonga Empire, and there's a whole bunch of videos by one person. This person is an academic, an expert. I can watch all their videos. I can send those videos to my team. The team becomes, more aware of you, more interested in what you have to say. So when I bring up, hey, we're writing this, we've all watched videos from this person. Can we possibly get this person in to take a look at our stuff and give us the thumbs up or the thumbs down on how well we're doing? They'll be a lot more open to that sort of thing, because putting a face on an expert is really important as well. I think that a lot of developers can become defensive or oppositional if they feel like it's just like a faceless void of people who are going to judge their ideas. And instead, if you apply a face to it, it's like, no, it's going to be this person from YouTube whose videos we've watched before. They're going to be a lot more receptive to having an open dialogue.
That is so informative. Thank you. I think you've given a lot of help to the whole room, especially to me. So thank you for that answer. I do want to just note our time here. We do have another presentation at about 45 minutes past the hour, so about 15 minutes. Betty, I'm not sure where you are with your speaking bandwidth right now. Maybe about another 5 minutes for questions. Great, and I'm not seeing any others currently in the chat. I am gonna just downsize this video here just in case there's anyone in the audience who'd like to approach the mic for a question. Lexi, I think you have another one, but you are on mute.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, I don't want to harp too much on the same thing, so instead I'm just going to thank Betty for coming, even though she has arthritis. That sucks, but I'm glad that you were able to sort of whisper, and this is the first time really I'm seeing AI voice work the way it did. So I can't say as I didn't enjoy that. It was pretty cool to see. So and it gave me a better appreciation and idea of kind of what softwares you have to run your scripts through, which must be hard because trying to put witty, funny dialogue into a thing with no concept of timing must be really wild. So yeah, just wanted to pause it. See, I bet. I'm like, sometimes, I mean, it can come off as wry and just hilarious, like very sarcastic, which I appreciate. So I think I speak on both my and Dan's behalf. We did want to thank you for taking time out of your day to come and join us at the conference. Feel better, drink lots of tea. I think my trick for that, my trick is a ton, like a foot of honey at the bottom, and then actually if you have fresh ginger, drop that in as well. No! Okay, that sucks. Oh well. Well, tea and honey is great.
Well, thank you once again, Betty. We're going to go ahead and end our recording of that presentation here in just a moment. And just a bit of a quick programming note. Our next speaker coming up again is going to be talking at 1:45 p.m. So about 12 minutes from now. So if you all need to get a quick snack or use the restroom, this is an excellent time to do so. That next speaker is going to be Princess Onika Auguste, and their session title is going to be Women's Rights in the Ancient World. So they'll be joining us for that, and that is going to be about an hour-long presentation, including Q&A. So with that, thank you once more to Betty. Hopefully all the rest of you are enjoying the conference, and we will reconvene in about 10 minutes.